What's up? Welcome to WIGI. I'm your host, Skyler, and thanks so much for joining us today for another great edition of Why I Got In. Today, I have got a whole legend in the building, and I cannot wait to share him with you. He has been like a mentor, friend to me, probably for the last 5 years. And I had the pleasure of working with him on a number of shows. He's a multicam live broadcast director, live broadcast to tape director. He's done literally everything from NFL, NBA, um, award shows, TV shows. I mean, his resume is incredible, and we're going to go all the way through it. So make sure you stick around and help me welcome Mr. Tony Mac McCuin.
Thanks for having me, man.
Tony, thank you so much for coming. First off, tell us, why did you decide to be a multicam director?
What was funny is that I started out actually thinking I was going to be a music video director.
Okay.
And I have never, it's so funny, I've never directed a music video. Ever. With as many music videos as there are running around and everybody shooting them on their camera phones and everything else, never directed a music video. I wound up getting into multi-camera by starting at a little public access station, making my way to local news, and then eventually ESPN in Bristol before going to Fox Sports and launching all the stuff for Fox Sports. You know, Best Damn Sports Show, period, Fox Sports News Live, all that stuff that, you know, you guys kind of grew up with.
Yeah.
I was the guy that was directing that. So I launched about maybe, now I got to say I'm probably up to about 19, 20 shows with Fox, including the UFC that I did and Inside PBC Boxing. But it was BET gave me my BET when I got my first Celebration of Gospel. And so what's funny is that my style, I always considered to be a live music video director. So my shots that I have come up with in shows that I've directed for the Image Awards or any of the music that I've done, Soul Train Awards, all that stuff, really I'm directing the artist in a live action music video. So even more than just coverage, I'm a little fascinated about the story or the journey that I can take the audience on live.
Okay. So that's a great introduction to you, because I want to like really dig in and let them see like where you came from to how you got here. Can you tell us a little bit about like how you grew up, where you grew up, what the environment was like? Paint us a picture for that.
Sure. I grew up in South Central LA. So I'm a South Central kid all day, every day. Born in Texas, but grew up in South Central LA. And went to Audubon Junior High School. And at that time, I just knew I was going to play basketball at Crenshaw. That's what I thought I was going to do, is play ball at the Shaw. And my mom was like, you are getting bused to the Valley. And not going to play, you know, I don't want to take any chances like going on around this neighborhood right now. You're getting bused to the Valley. In fact, what's so funny, if you want to know where I live, I'll tell you, because you've seen it 1,000 times. When you are watching Boys in the Hood and he gets shot in the back alley, you know,
when Ricky gets shot,
that's my house.
that was a wow. Wow.
That is my house.
Talk about history.
Yeah, that is my house. So I was
were you still living in that area when they were?
No, I had already gone by then.
Okay.
But that's South Central. That's where I grew up at. That's my house. They walk past it. And he runs through the back alley. He runs around the back of my house. So I, you know, went to school in the Valley. And then when I was 18, I was a single parent. I, you know, got a young lady in my neighborhood pregnant and became a single parent. She was a fantastic gal. Still is a fantastic gal. And a terrific mom on top of that. But at that time, I was Miami Vice had just came out, and I was a huge Miami Vice fan. And I remember seeing it, and that Phil Collins playing Something in the Air Tonight, that side mount on the Ferrari with the going through the streets of Miami, and I was sitting there in a little freaking singles apartment watching this. At that time, I was a janitor for my dad at the Coca-Cola bottling company, and I would clean up at night. And my mom, who had cancer, I would take care of her during the day. And I, you know, I saw that and I said, whatever that guy is doing, that's what I want to do. And I went down to the local public access station and I signed up. And at the time, I didn't even have a car. And it was a young lady that I was dating that says, you've got to do this. I will drive you down here every day. And she came and she picked me up and she drove, and I learned to direct at public access. Wow. So, and that's interesting because I didn't go to college at all. Mine was strictly just based on what I saw. Now, I've been very blessed. I've had a lot of angels around me. So I understand that, but that's how that all came to be. And, luck of the draw, I was at a little public access station in Santa Monica, which was Century Cable Public Access. And at that time, cable was slowly, in fact, it was Group W cable. Cable has slowly started to make the rise. You're way too young to remember like Z Channel and all this other stuff, but cable slowly started to take over. And when it did, all these networks kind of popped up, these little cable stations. Well, while being at the public access station, a cable channel launched. The person who worked at public access went to that station, and then they pulled everybody from public access and took them with them, right? Which means that I'm the intern that's sitting there. And the guy looked at me and says, hey, you there, basically. Hey, you want to direct? And I said, sure. And I never got out of the chair.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, very blessed.
Director, just like that.
Yeah, and so look, that's not supposed to be how it happens, and there's so many more ways to direct. But, people say, well, wow, you've done this and you've done that. How's public access? How did you get there? And how did you leap from this to this to this? And I will say this for all those directors who are doing stuff or working at their local community stations or their high school or college stations, let me tell you this right now. A bad two-shot is a bad two-shot no matter where you go. Meaning if your shot is framed and on point at public access, there's a real good chance it's going to be framed and on point if you're directing Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
So it's funny because there are still things from public access that I do in shows that I remember that have made their way to the NAACP Image Awards. So, anytime you get you get an opportunity to put your hands on everything. You have to do audio, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, I can't, be an audio engineer and all that other stuff, but I can tell you when something doesn't sound right and what it should sound like. So there's a way to learn every chance you get.
So naturally, like, you're in LA, you've referenced Boys to the Hood, you've got the public access, cables popping up. Let's talk about some of like who your influences and who is really like driving you to jump into media.
Well, I drove myself in the sense of wanting to do this, wanting to be a music video director. So it was the 80s, so to speak, that drove me into this, seeing Billie Jean and all that stuff. But in terms of mentors, there were a few. One is before I quit Fox, I was directing Best Damn Sports Show, period. I launched it, and, my terrific boss, George Greenberg and David Hill, had kind of let me run point guard on it. So it was great. And while I was there, NBC came in, and they was launching a show called Inside Schwartz. It was short-lived on NBC, but in that show, there was this, basically the character had two sportscasters in his head. And every time he went on a date or whatever, it was like, oh my, crash and burn. They did all these sports calls to kind of call his life. The producer wanted that to be done by a real sports director. And that's how NBC hired me. So I would direct Best Damn Sports Show, and then I'd direct stuff for NBC in there. With that being said, the lady who was the director of that show. Her name was Pamela Fryman.
Mm-hmm.
And Pamela Fryman is also the director of Frasier, Just Shoot Me, How I Met Your Mother. She is the top sitcom director in the country, period. She, after I did that for CBS, I just said, I want to learn what you do. And she says, you can come down anytime. And she invited me down to the set of Just Shoot Me to watch David Spade and all those guys do their thing. And she didn't treat me like an intern. I was the other director, and just what I got to see, and the script meetings and all that other stuff. She really took me under her wing. And Pamela was trained by James Burrows. So if you know who James Burrows is, that is everything under the sun when it comes to 80s sitcoms. So you're talking Cheers, you're talking Mary Tyler Moore, you're talking Friends, you're talking everything that you can think of that is in the 80s. Taxi, everything was done by James Burrows. So James Burrows taught her, and then Pamela taught me.
Wow.
And Pamela also helped me get my first agent. She is such a star in this town and such a influential person in this town that there is no way an agency should have taken me. I had only done sports stuff. There was no way an agency should have taken me. And if Pamela's going to recommend you because she recommends nobody, you're in. And that's how I got my first agent. It was through her. So she has always been my, one of my mentors. The other mentor I would have to say would be Deborah Ward, who you do not know, but Deborah was a sister. She was at ESPN, and she hired me at ESPN, the Direct Sports Center. And then when Fox bought Prime Sports, and became Fox Sports Net, Deb hired me to launch the network. I was part of a 5-director team to launch the network. So I was the second dude in history to direct on Fox Sports Net. Deborah was the one who taught me control. She taught me that she didn't pay me for when things go right. She paid me for how I responded when things go wrong. And that's what I got paid for. Great show, cool shot, whatever it is, I got it. But what happened when the tape locked up? What happened when audio went out? How did you respond? What did you do as a director to continue to save the show? How did you protect talent? And she could manicure a shot like nobody's business. She could look at something and know exactly what was wrong with the shot and what camera and what lens you used. So Deborah was the other. And then, after that, like I said, I'm a bit of a film guy in terms of my style of shooting. So every now and then, I say for inspiration, I steal more shots than I do anything else. So in other words, you've seen me do those long, steady moves.
Yes.
Coming down the aisle and wrapping around the piano. I beat those down all day, bro.
Yeah. Especially if you get a guy like Travis that can just like run
beat it
all
down.
day long.
Yeah, do the move. And so, but that move is really my tribute to Bob Altman, who was the director of The Player. And there's a scene in there in the opening scene where it's a long shot that starts over a studio. And you can literally see the guy does this long shot and then gets off the crane and then pushes his way inside the window. So I always have my running joke of my tribute to Bob Altman. I have my tributes to John Woo. I'm a huge John Woo fan. And so the Steadicam app, and in my world, there's white doves and double guns when we do that, So, there are a lot of things that I do that are legitimately based on really cool film shots. I don't watch as many multi-camera directors probably as I should. And it's I won't use the word arrogance, but I don't want to be influenced by someone else's vision.
I entirely understand that.
And so it's a little weird because right now I'm I can't get into it, but I am uh, uh, prepping for literally the biggest show of my career, and it's a series. And so obviously you're watching the last 2 years of the series. You know, you're looking at them, and I love studying it, and I love all that stuff. But the only thing that's sticking in my craw a little bit is I'm being influenced by his shots.
Mm-hmm.
When you know, one time I remember doing Celebration of Gospel, and it was, and sometimes it can work in your favor. When you do shows, particularly music shows, um, whatever show that they're on first takes precedence. So in other words, if the Grammys have John Legend, and you can't, let's say a month earlier you were doing an award show, you can't get John Legend. So once they've agreed to do the Grammys, they're sold up until the Grammys air, until the Grammys go on live. Now, after the Grammys, you can get anybody you want.
Right.
But Grammys don't want anybody saturated. They want it to be an explosion when you're going to show. So what are the odds? I had John Legend after the Grammys. So I had him right after the show. And then 2 weeks later, I had a Celebration of Gospel show that John Legend was on. But I watched him on the Grammys. And the director did this whole move where he came down the aisle, center aisle, and then when he got to the front of the stage, he just kind of curved, camera right. And then dissolved to camera one, and John at the piano, and I got it all good. And I looked at that and I said, he did not complete the move.
Mm-hmm.
So
you should have got him coming around the piano.
Bingo.
And then
I had them build me a ramp.
Yep.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
I've been studying you.
Yep. I had them build me a ramp, put it in the front, and then my shot was up the ramp and around the piano and out. Mm-hmm. You are correct. And it's so funny too, because when you do stuff, and my Steadicam operator at that time, before there was a Travis, there was a James Lytle. And James Lytle was the man. He was like freaking 6'. James Lytle 6'6". So a 6'6" Steadicam operator. And bingo. He altered my shots in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way. It was like having a walking crane. So where most stadiums are kind of a little bit low or just eye level, James is freaking there. He's like right in there, he can do that. And it's funny when you do that, because you have to, it's the top of the show, and John Legend was the start of the show. When you do these single down the aisle things, they're just, and I tell Travis this all the time, and it's just like, in your head, you're going, if he falls, it's a wrap for me.
Because you have nowhere to go.
You don't have another shot. You have nowhere to go. I have started now figuring out a way to maybe put a camera low angle, that you can't see him, that's buried, that I got a place to go. But there are some times when, and you will, as a director, you'll sell out for a shot. And you're like, don't care. I'm trusting you. I have to have this shot. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I have to have it. And hopefully you will work with a squad, which I've been very blessed to work with, that'll go, you're going to have it. So it's cool. But my influences, those are the ones who inspired me in terms of like a Pamela Fryman and a Deb Ward. And then after that, it's really film directors and cool shots that they've taken that I've used and I take. For multi-camera, not a lot. I think we're all competitive and we're all just looking. I think we all watch each other's stuff. And I've had people, multi-cameras, who I've watched and, holy cow, great decision. I'm not sure I would have done that. I'm very 100 with myself when it comes to my directing. And if somebody does something that I wouldn't have thought of, I'm like, God dang it. He beat me to it, because that was a sweet move. So.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think as I'm listening to you and you started talking about like the transitions earlier, I guess the first thing that was coming to mind was, how did you know when you were ready to make these certain jumps? Because the job comes to you and you're now moving to like this next level. How did you prepare yourself, or how did you know in your soul that you were ready to leap into that next large space?
Yeah. Sometimes it'll present itself, and then you're just, you're just basically issued a challenge by life. Life draws a line in the sand and says, are you going to take this? So my leaps were really big, all things considered, because I was public access, and then I went to KC24 NBC affiliate in Fresno. So I'm in the chair, NBC affiliate, Fresno, all good. I'm the weekend director. That's all you get, weekend, bro. That's it. Nothing else, because nobody wants to work on weekends. So we got the weekend. It's the NBA Finals with the Knicks taking on the Houston Rockets and Hakeem Olajuwon. That is, seems irrelevant, but here's what happened while that finals was going on. Boom, the OJ chase.
Oh shit.
OJ's chase happened. And when you're at a local news station and it's a weekend, talk about the lone gunman. You can freaking do anything you want. I mean, you just really can. You just, the news director's in there. Nobody cares. Just don't blow up the news. Do your best not to blow up the news. But this you go. So I said, you know what'd be really cool? I said, if we two boxed it, I'll put the OJ chase in one box and I'll keep the game in the other.
Oh wow.
And I just and I took the TV in there by Carla. I can't think of Carla's last name. Sister. She's now director in San Francisco at one of the local stations. But she said, I said, Carla, let's just two box it. Let's just give it a go. Are you sure you want to do this? Let's do it. Oh, I'll figure it out. Let's do it. And sure enough, because you were an NBC affiliate, so NBC had the NBA.
Right.
And we took the network feed, and then I two boxed it. And my dude, I think Bud Elliott, who was the anchor at that time, said, "You're looking live," and I two boxed it. And when I came in on Monday, my news director said, "Who did that?" And I said it was me. And I got the 6 and 11 o'clock newscast.
Nice.
And that's how. So you have to take that chance and be willing to bet on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mention that as a leap because if you look at television markets, and I used to know them all, but I don't know them all in terms of rankings, but give or take, they're about 205 television markets. Obviously like a New York being number one, LA's 2, San Francisco's 3, Dallas is like 4 or 5, and on down the line. And so Fresno was market 55, which was not a bad first station market at 55. Right. I did that. I became the 6 and 11 o'clock newscast. And then I went to the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in Atlanta. And I gave my tape to ESPN. And ESPN made an offer. And I went to Connecticut and and at that time it was like Stu Scott. So that's who I was directing. It was like Stuart Scott and those guys.
Okay.
So I directed Sports Center. I say that to say this. The Sports Center story is this. Yo, bro, I blew up Sports Center. I was messing that show up so bad. Wrong cameras, wrong tape, wrong this, wrong that. I was destroying Sports Center. Really? And it hurt me because I thought I was the dude. And then I got humbled by the show. And at that time, there were no ADs. So
you were directing and switching.
Not switching, that's a TD. I was directing and
AD.
Timing. Yeah, exactly. So 5 seconds out of tape, this out of tape, change script, go, switch, boom, boom. Right. It's like this Lucy in the Chocolate Factory thing where the conveyor belt's going by, but you can't freaking stuff everything in time. And I would just get behind and mark the wrong thing in the script and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I learned a valuable lesson. When you're marking a script for any show, whether I'm doing the Image Awards or whatever, you mark it because you're in the comfort of your office and you're marking and you're going 2-shot, Anthony Anderson, single so-and-so, Denzel Washington enters, stage left, camera right. Got it, poof. You're doing all this stuff and you're marking. Same thing happens with Sports Center. It's camera 1 over the shoulder, Stuart Scott. Camera 3 over the shoulder, Dan Patrick. And you don't know the stuff. So I would be doing it and then all of a sudden, I'm in it, roll the tape, take the tape, look at the script, and it says, 1 over the shoulder, Stuart Scott. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. And I would just go and take 3. And Stuart Scott would be like, yo, it's me over here on 1. I say that to say you've got to trust yourself. If you wrote it down, you wrote it down for a reason. and it will come to you. You know, that's the purpose of marking your script. It is a reminder of what's coming next. So I learned to go, you know, the scripts for award shows, like the Image Awards is just, you know, feels like 8 billion pages. And you'll just see, you know, uh, you'll see like C4 to C5 entrance SL, stage left. But meanwhile, you'll have a big X on it, meaning your tape machine is playing out of X. So you just have to know X to 5 to to stage left entrance to single on 1. This is what you wrote. This is what's gonna happen. And if you sit next to a baller AD like I do, and Debbie Palacio, who's just fantastic, she'll keep you on point. So that is, but that my point is that for ESPN, I wasn't ready, and then I got ready. And in fact, I mentioned Deborah Ward. Deborah Ward was the one who hired me at ESPN, and I came in and I flopped down on her chair. And I never will forget this. Deb had an FM voice. You know, she sounds like a radio personality. How's it going, Tony? She had that kind of smooth voice, and I just sat down and I just did just like that. And she goes, "You," not even saying a word. She says, "I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that you were a hotshot director, that things are not going well for you, and maybe you're not as good as you thought you were, and you want to go home." And I did. I miss my boys on Crenshaw. It was freaking cold as hell here. A lot of white people don't like it. So it was just like, oh, this is not what I do, yo. This is not what I do. She says, "Don't you worry. I'll get the other people off your back. Do not leave ESPN without your pockets fat." And so to this day, she meant don't leave without leaving with something, that you did a year of Sports Center, that you did a year of this, that you did that. And to this day, I always call ESPN pre-med. If I wanted to be a doctor, I needed to finish pre-med at ESPN first. And I eventually caught on, and I'm off and running. And those things as a director will not go away. So in other words, then you get, then I can remember going straight from Fox and Best Damn to Celebration of Gospel. Never did a concert in my life. The nervousness starts again. Great, make your way there. And then I got my first kind of big time show, the BET Comedy Awards with Steve Harvey, and nervousness starts all over again. I'm not ready. Then I get the Super Bowl pregame show for the NFL Network. Nervousness starts all over again. I've never directed a Super Bowl pregame show with 135 cameras. Starts all over again. The Sunday Best Live, for the finale the first time. Nervousness starts all over again. What if I zoom to the wrong winner? What if I hit the pyrotechnics too early? Starts all over again. And I mentioned that I'm doing, another, big series coming up. And I'm like, oh, geez, it started all over again. So, I tell my son this, and you just kind of have to remember, like, before I do anything, I always let go, let God. And so, there's this thing where I don't insult him. And here's what I mean. In my head, I have these conversations with God where I think he's saying to me, just like anyone would say who's had your back, you mean I've gotten you this far right now and you're now going to freaking turn tail? I've gotten you this far right now and I've never let you down. If you put in the work, I've always had your back. And now all of a sudden you're afraid? So when I think about it like that, I put on headsets and I'm off and running, and I can't be stopped.
That's amazing. And I mean, the fact that you sort of have to walk in faith, because every one of these opportunities, you don't know what's thrown at you.
You literally don't know, because it is equivalent to being a black quarterback or anything. You get one shot to run this team, bro. you get one shot to run this team. Good luck.
So let's talk about that, because that's one of the things I think is interesting about our industry. You're only as good as your last job. You shit the bed once, you might not get a call back. So
very easily.
Coming off of, you now had this moment where you're at ESPN, you're not doing well. Granted, you did have somebody to have your back that believed in you. How did you dust yourself off? And then, you know, what would you say to someone who's, you know, in that position? You're not doing well. How do you get it together and then come back from what seems like a losing moment?
Right. When it comes to stuff like that, and you're having a losing moment, and I'm going to strictly state, you know, with multi-camera shows that have acts, what I started doing was not doing the entire show. Each act was a show. And then together they make up an entire show. You just need to knock out act one, bro, and kill act one. And then we'll make our way to act two next. You just need to think out act two, kill that one. And then act three, when Jill Scott comes out, like Jill Scott was in act two last year. When Jill Scott comes out, you're going to kill that. And so you just have to take it in small bites, where people make their mistakes as they try to take the biggest bite of that show, instead of just compartmentalizing it. I know if we are doing Sunday Best, it is Kirk, you know, preset center stage. Good. Say what's up to the judges. Camera 9, take, back to Kirk. Great. Lead to the package. Package, Kirk repost camera right stage left home base. That part's done. And so if you talk in those ways, you know, you think about it in those ways, suddenly it becomes more digestible. When you look at the Grammys in its totality, though it's still a big show, I will assure you that that director's just going act by act by act. And this is what needs to happen. Your panic sets in when you think about the show in its totality and just how big it is. And, you know, you'll look up very easily and be in act 9 with 2 acts to go. It'll happen in 2 seconds flat. And when you have those moments where you are, I mean, look, there is no such thing as a directing simulator. There's no multi-camera directing simulator. The only way you're going to learn from your mistakes, chances are you probably made a really bad mistake. You know, it's not like I can shout at you and I can do this and I can, no, you can't. I can walk around on a film set and walk around and eventually get, you know, and nothing happens right then and there. But as a live director, note to self, don't do that again. How did you know? Because I blew it up in front of freaking 50 million people. And so there's no directing simulator. So how quickly you recover from that segment, how quickly you can not only erase the taste out of your mouth, but you're going to have to erase the taste out of the crew's mouth and out of the producer's mouth who's sitting in the control room with you. Like, you've got a lot of people to try and build back their trust in a hurry. Now, you've been doing the show 1,000 times and you take the wrong camera, nobody breathes. Got it. That's T-Mac, but T-Mac knows what he's doing, so we're good. But when you're the new dude, it gets tough. And as a new dude coming on a show that I'm about to come on right now, Deb Ward said to me, and it is true today, there is nothing worse than the crew that thinks that you owe them. Because if a crew's been saving your ass the whole time, eventually you're going to catch on. And you're going to say, Sky, I don't want that 2-shot. I want to make it a single. And you may even have to yell at him, Sky, don't do that. I don't want that. And Sky's going to go, okay, my man, I remember when I was saving your ass, you weren't yelling at me, but now you think you're something. Fine. I'm not giving you jack anymore. Well, let's say I got it in a hurry and you never really had to save me. Then when I make the call, when I say I want something, you know I mean it. So you have to get out in front and try to learn and walk on the set with as much as possible. Can't be a know-it-all or you get hit in the throat, but you definitely have to absorb it very quickly. So, you know, that crew knows. And like I said, with crew members also, if you continue to make mistakes, very common, happens all the time. Crew members will naturally, after a while, try to save themselves. So they will automatically start looking for shots on their own, because all they know is they need to make sure that all I know is that director sucked, but camera one was still doing his thing. And this person was still doing their thing because you didn't have command. So as a result of not having command, you've given everybody the authority to direct. And that includes your camera people. So if you're lucky, you learn it fast, you get it down, then you give them the authority to direct. So if you look at my guys, Stan Fisher, Travis, those kind of guys, Mike Fields, JR, those kind of guys, you heard me on headset say, yo, I need you to find me something. I don't have to direct. I've given them, what do you see? What do you got? I put you here because of your eye. But if your first move is to go find me something, you're never going to have command over them. So for a camera operator or crew members, once that director says, go find me something, I need reacts, show me reacts. I need more reaction shots. They know that you have now entrusted them with your show. And that's a badge of honor for them. And it should be, because I have.
So many gems. It's like there's so many places I could go. The thought that I'm having is, naturally you have to deal with all these people, all these personalities. And you said you started around like 18. So you're starting with that very young. Going back a little bit to what you're saying, you've now got a kid, your mother was sick, your father's working. What was your support system like? And what was going on as you're starting to make these bigger leaps in this moment in Fresco?
Go ahead.
What was support like, and how were you able to, I guess, manage all this pressure that's mounting?
Right. At younger, when I was like, 18, 19 years old, it was a little, look, at the end of the day, you're a Black family, and my dad worked his ass off and we did well. So we lived in South Central LA, but we weren't hurting. Dad made sure that we were well taken care of. I say that to say that, my dad working his butt off and being a janitor and having his own janitorial company and all that other stuff is fact. That's fact. Me wanting to get into TV is a wish. How can I get behind a wish, bro, when you've got this job right here that we know exists? So that was the part that was real, I think, early on, tough for them to deal with. Like, bro, look, it's like that dude, and we all know him. I'm about to drop an album, buy my CD, whatever it is. I was dating here that dude who's about, come on, man. Come on. We know for a fact that Coca-Cola exists. And they need to have the trash dump and the floors buffed and all that other stuff. That's a job, and that exists. I know nothing about this TV that you speak of and how it's going to do anything for you. And so I understand it. I completely got it. I think it started to creep in maybe a little bit when I got to maybe ESPN, that okay, maybe there's a shot. But when it really clicked in was when I did Celebration of Gospel. And then that's when they're, at that time, you're talking about an era in which, Donnie Simpson was on the air and blah, blah, blah. So, all my people were watching BET. And then when I got Celebration of Gospel, and then after that, Comic View, it was a wrap. It was an absolute wrap after that. They were all on my team, and not late, but I got it, dude. We want to make sure you know, that you are gonna do what you say you're gonna do. So I got it. It wasn't because it wasn't like they dissed me like, bro, I don't want nothing to do with you. Nope. Pops was always there, always there, always there. And my brother Tim was always there. Tim was my camera guy for many shows, always there. My family, always there. But it was when they started on the regular, seeing my name in credits, you know, that's when it started to hit. And, you know, I did what, the last 8 years of Comic View? Literally the last 8 years, the last 12 years of Dr. Bobby Jones Gospel, you know, the last 14 years of Sunday Best. So it's funny in a way. Some of you cats, I'm the dude you grew up with and didn't even know it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
some of this, I'm like, I'm listening. It's funny. I'm more in awe as I'm sitting here talking to you because I've had this pleasure of working with you and knowing you for all these years, and now I'm getting some of those
right,
behind on some of this. I'm like, oh shit, you know.
right.
I'm you don't understand like how thankful I am to have had the opportunity to work with you. That first year we did Sunday Fest together was literally a pivot in my life. You know?
Thank you.
And that really opened up doors and opportunities that have stayed open for me since then. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm so humbled to sit here and listen to this.
Oh, it's all good, my man. You deserve it for
Yeah,
sure.
you
You
were actually
deserve it.
my moment. You know, I was in production for maybe 5 years before that, and
We met on the Sunday Best set
we
in
met on Sunday
Atlanta at the
Fest, and
Turner
it wasn't
Studio.
until you remember I
Sure.
brought my grandma and my mom to the
Mm-hmm.
show. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
until those moments where they got to talk to you and see them, you know,
Right.
on the crew. They're like, oh, okay, you're doing something with life.
Right, right,
And
right, right, right.
I was like, not to say that, you know, similar to what you're saying, it's not to say that your family doesn't support you before that, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't get
Mm-hmm.
it. And it was the first time I was able to really take them somewhere, show them somewhere, where they could see
So
it, believe,
tangible.
you know, that we were
Right.
doing something. And that was a part of what made me want to make this show, is because there are so many people who aspire to be in careers like ours, but there's no
Mm-hmm.
one that can't even say what that path is. And we think
That
that
is correct.
people don't come from anywhere like us. So
Mm-hmm.
to show the beginnings, to show how we got started, and to say, you know, we're not, yeah, we're doing great things now, but we're not any different, you know, is what
Sure.
I hope to bring with this.
Sure.
I'm just so thankful. Like you know,
All good, my man. All
yeah.
good.
So I want to shift and I want to talk about like energy, because, you know, as we're talking about, you know, dealing with family life, and then, you know, you as a director, you're dealing with 50, 60, 70,
Mm-hmm.
100 personalities sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how you manage energy, with preparation, with being in the show, and just how you navigate being in tough rooms.
Um, what I do when it comes to talent is, and this will almost apply to just about everything. I I want them to know that my job is to protect them. At the end of the day, what the talent doesn't want to look like is an ass. So at the end of the day, you just have to say, like, it is not uncommon for me to say, I I made this shot just for you. And the look on their face when you say, I got a steady that's going to come from here, it's going to do a wrap and come around and then like you and then everything. And you just look at Erica Campbell and you just go, I built that for you. So you have to make them feel special. I built that for you. When it comes to crew members, what you have to do to make them feel it's amazing with crew members. Simple acknowledgement goes a long way. You just let a camera guy do a nice push or a nice move and go, that's what I'm talking about, my man. That right there, that's how you get it done. And you just watch how they put in work for you. At the same time, to be a great leader for your crew and to get them to follow you, you have to show them how what they're doing will directly benefit them. Now, what I mean by that is I've had producers pull the wool over my eye. Look, I'm gonna knock all this out. Crew's not going to take a break, and then we're going to take an extra 10 because I'm going to put this to bed now. And I've knocked something out, and the producer says, well, you guys finished early. Let's go ahead and knock this out. And the crew is looking at me sideways. I've also had it where that plan has actually worked. Guys, we're going to knock this out, then take our lunch, and we're going to wind up getting an extra 10. Crew works double time. They get that extra 10. Oh, my dude led us to prosperity. Even though, with that being said, who did it benefit? Me. I'm on time. I'm this. I'm that. I'm having conversations in the back now with the executive producers. I won. But you have to show them how what they're doing will directly benefit them. When it comes to producers, there's a couple of different ways to handle it. And it's strange because I often go with always having a plan. If they ask for something that I know cannot be done or would be very difficult or put them in a corner, I offer them the alternative. Here's what we can get that I think will get you pretty close. And one thing I always do is I always try to over deliver, because some producers will just do a bit of a drive-by and just kind of go, you know, it'd be really cool if some kind of way we were able to shoot the lights. I go, I got it. I'll call you in 5 minutes. And then you do it, and they're proud. They're proud that you carried out their orders and their commands, but then you didn't just shoot a light. You know, it was a jib off of it. You put a star filter in it. You did all the stuff, and it was all good. And then sometimes, you know, you have to let certain folks, and I hate to say this, pick how they want to die. So sometimes they get to, I want to do this, and this is what I want to do, and I want to do this. You have to lay out the end result. Okay, Sky, you're going to do a steady cam wrap to going outside to making your way back inside, and then pick them up entering stage right. We can do that. Just a heads up. You're going to probably get a ton of lens flare. You won't be able to see anything because the sun is out. It's not night. There's a real good chance that that person could enter stage before they even make it out. We can do that, but heads up, that's what's going to happen if you do that. And then it's on Sky to decide how he wishes to die. He can say, I will do that, and I'll deal with the fact that it's going to be a lens flare and the audience will never see anything, and it could be the worst shot ever. Or you can just come in on the jib like you suggested, and we'll go from there. But sometimes you just have to lay out, this is what's going to happen. But you never say no. You just say, this is what's going to happen as a result of you doing this. I question if you're going to be able to make that happen. And here's why. You know, we have, you know, one where they want to put them in a harness and they want to do this and fly them across the room and all this other stuff. I got it. Don't know how I'll get them out of the harness before the marching band comes down the center aisle. And if you don't get him out of the harness in time, then bands are going to be running into this guy as he's swinging over the top of the stage. We can do that, but just know this is what you're looking at, because at a certain point, time will come into play. So if I worked on that move, I worked on that move for 15, 20 minutes. And now I'm 15, 20 minutes behind in rehearsal. But Sky made the call. So I'm always scot-free on that move. And at a certain point, Sky's going to go, you know what, T, my bad, yo, we're not doing that anymore. Just do the thing with the aisle. You go, okay. Let them pick. Let them pick how they want to die if there's one of those things that they have to have. Other than that, always offer, but the answer you're never going to deliver is no. Can we do this? No. Let me see if I can give you something. Just try, my man. Come up with something. And there usually is something in there. You don't have to be something unbelievable that you just simply cannot do, but there's usually something in there. There was something in there. You know, I remember one time, was Celebration of the Gospel. I wanted Steve Harvey to come from outside the Orpheum Theater and then down the stairs and all this other stuff. And I was just trying to figure out how to have it go from Travis, toss down another steady cam down below, carry him inside, pull him up on stage. He does the first joke, intro the act. It was just like, it just couldn't match knowing that Celebration of the Gospel was going to air at 8 o'clock Eastern. And meanwhile, it's broad daylight outside in LA. Like nothing was going to match, and color temperature and shading the cameras and losing signal on the steady because there was no RF out there. And just, nah, bro, let it go. Let it go. I tried. This is what it's going to cost you. Everything can be done at a price. And when they tell you that budget is, 2 million or 3 million or 4 million, and then you start to itch into them pockets a little bit, it can be done, but they have to be the one to eat it. So a lot of times we're not doing that. But, again, it's when it comes to talent, I work with athletes and Super Bowl winners every day. Every day I work with somebody who won a championship at something, period. And every day I work with somebody who won a Grammy or an Emmy, but particularly Grammy and sometimes Oscars. And at the end of the day, they just want to know that you're going to protect them no matter what. Look, somebody's, shits the bed on stage. Somebody goes, hey, who's directing? Nobody says that. Well, who's directing? They go, holy cow, did you see what happened to Oprah? Did you see what happened to this person? Yeah. So just let your talent know, and you will protect them. And I have done it to the point of not taking the shot. I've done it to the point of sitting on the wide shot for an additional 10 seconds because I didn't see them in their position. And I'm not going to have them running out sweaty and not ready to go. This is not going to happen. So you just have to swear to that. And it's an interesting thing about talent. They are loyal. If they know you're that dude that's going to protect them, they are loyal. So you can survive and thrive being loyal and being the person that if you can't get a shot that an executive want, you come up with a terrific alternative. You'll win.
How do you deal with there are moments when, sure, you might be in a conversation. This is maybe more of like an executive or in a meeting type of function. Maybe not so much on set, but there are these moments in these production meetings or in the conceptual phases where energy shifts, concepts might not mesh, ideas may not go the way we expect. How do you use your superpowers to sort of shift that energy back in the right direction? And what I think are some of your first antennas to know that that energy is shifting?
When somebody's adamant about something or something happens in a meeting that it looks like, we're going in a different direction from what we talked about. What that person wants at the end of the day is to think they made the call, that they are bringing something to the table, understandably so. At the end of the day, that executive wants to be, because in their world, the production is the fun part. I've done all that freaking other stuff where we signed contracts and all this other stuff, and we did this, and we signed off on and approved, and now it's show day, and that's why you see executives always are so excited on show day. This is the fun part. This is the part where I get to kind of throw in my 2 cents and chime in and all that other stuff. And so what I try to do is definitely listen and see where I can take something that I know may be a little dicey and collaborate. So what you're saying is that you want Steve Harvey to come from off the streets and all that other stuff. I like it, but I tell you what, my concern is that that's a really long shot and you're looking at probably 40 seconds. I know we can get this bad boy from the lobby. If we put him from the lobby and make his way down the aisle, that's only going to be 20 seconds and we still get that look. That executive is going to go, all right, my man, you're at least listening to me. You're at least listening to me, and you can shift that energy. And then all of a sudden, that executive is looking at you and going, I got to do it in Sky. Sky just may be my guy. He just may be my guy. Because what if Sky knocks this out the park and that works, I got another show for Sky. Executives are always in the back of their head knowing they've got another show that this kid could be right for. So if you can show that this is what we can do and you'll get this, this, and this out of it. And then all of a sudden you block it. And after you block it, you call the executive into the truck and just, hey, I want you to take a look at this real quick. This is that Act One opening with Steve Harvey we talked about. So you can get an idea. Boom, comes down the aisle, does the whole thing. I like it. Now you've included them in the process. I like it. Can we do a such and such? Let me see. Camera 6, go over there. He may say, I'd like to see an overhead as he makes his way down the aisle. I think I can make that work. Jib is house left. I'll have him enter through the house left door. But all of a sudden, now they're part of the collaborative process and you're off and running. Now, do you have your moments as a director where that person is literally trying to direct? Yeah, you do. And that's where it gets really hard because directing is a pride thing. And as a director, you're thinking in your head, you had your shot to be everything that you wanted to try to do. And now that we're up in this show, you're now barking out cameras. You are definitely thinking there should be one voice. And so that's the part where, as a director, you probably have to hold and just suck it up as much as humanly possible. Because you are not only about to possibly check the executive, the crew is listening. And they can now hear that you've lost it. They can now hear that something's awry. And now it's compounded. Do we start looking? Do we not start looking? Do we start searching and fending for ourselves? This dude may not even be here next week. What's it worth? Why do we even try? You know, if I'm the director of, you know, Sunday Best and Jimmy Kimmel and NFL and all this other stuff that I've done, Sky working with me it will behoove him to knock it out of the park. Because I know this dude's got 8 other shows. This cat's getting fired anyway. It still really matter. You'll fend for yourself. The most difficult thing is when they start to step so deeply on the director's toes. I gave you the shot that you asked for, and now you're and you'll hear that director go, okay, and you talk like this. You go, okay, I understand. Tell me what you want. And it is not uncommon for folks to fire back, I don't know what I want, but I know I don't want that. And you're like, oh, okay. You will even see them in rehearsal and you practice some unbelievable shot. And I've had this happen. Some unbelievable killer shot, steady cam, wrap around, center aisle, blah, blah, blah. And they sat in rehearsal and they watch you do it and they watch you do it the whole time, 15 times. And then you do the dress rehearsal before the show and you do the dress rehearsal and they go, what is that steady cam shot? What was that thing you did with the round thing? You watch me do it.
All day long.
All day long. And now what? And it's a major part of the song. And each song, there's not a director who doesn't have a payoff. This is what's happening in the chorus. This is happening at the bridge. This is how we're getting out of the song at the end. This is her big note shot. And then the rest you're filling in. But you know these moments in the song that you're going to try to hit. 9 times out of 10, that them asking what that shot is happening at a moment in the song. Like, you've been here. I saw you sitting at the producer's table looking at the monitor. I was watching you the whole time. You heard, they can listen. You're on PL. You're hearing me say, we're all good, moving on. You didn't say a word. And now we're here. Happens all the time. And, if you got a good AD, and I do, you just simply cut off your headsets and you look over at them and they go, I know. They'll talk you off that ledge a little bit. I know. And it's, it's again, we don't want to be angry black men. So it's an interesting, there's been, quote, other directors that have literally just gotten up and walked out. Not for me. deuces. There's no way I could literally get up and walk out. And I've had my moments where like kick rocks, I'm out. But there's no way I could do that. I wanted to, but there's no way. That and that normally comes from shows that are beat downs. That are these people are just needling you the whole time in such a way that you're like, oh my God, this is, and I will say this, you can be needled the entire time of a rehearsal or a production, but there is something magical that happens once that show kicks off. Because at the end of the day, you have to direct your show. You can't direct anybody else's show. And if you direct your show, there is a 95% chance that you are going to win. That if you just say, kick rocks, we're all going to die of something, let's go. Doesn't mean you weren't paying attention, doesn't mean you want to wear, but at the end of the day, when you put on headsets, there are parts that are going to become, instinctive. And the show, if you listen, will talk to you and determine the shots. It'll literally talk to you. It'll literally say, Sky is crying on camera 4. Take 4. Boom. You think about the Leandra performance for Sunday Best, which was, all over YouTube. In fact, I'll give you one even more recent than that. I did Jill Scott for the Image Awards. Oh. And I got to tell you, this thing is like freaking 900,000 views already. Like it's just blown up. I say that to say this. She did a medley of her songs, and everybody loves Jill Scott. It was a celebration of This Is Jill Scott, her album dropping the whole thing back in the day, 15 years ago. And I blocked it. It was all good. I had my shots of Jill and the background singers. And all of a sudden, there's Jamie Foxx, and Janelle Monáe dancing. And this person's dancing. And there's, celebrities everywhere, just all dancing in the house. You've got to see this. It is crazy. In fact, people are like, oh my God, I've never seen reaction shots like this before. The show dictated the shots. Yeah, I had a great guitar shot in there, and I had this, that, and the other thing. It's not going to be Jamie Foxx dancing. It's not going to be Janelle Monáe, mouthing the words to the song and acting it out. She was literally acting out the song. But we're standing here on camera 6. I don't give a shit what my hat.
That was it. But this
that was just kind of it. And so if you look, sometimes that show will literally direct itself. And that's no joke. It'll literally direct itself. And then sometimes, which is the best part about directing, was my first Image Awards, which was on NBC before it moved to BET. And it was when Django had just dropped. Jamie Foxx, Tarantino, Samuel L., all of them were in the house. It's at the Shrine Auditorium. And Steve Harvey was hosting. And we gave an honor to Harry Belafonte. And the person who gave him the Lifetime Achievement Award was Sidney Poitier. So we were just talking,
just legends on legends.
Yeah, exactly. Legends on legends all day. So, Sidney comes out, he talks about the man, we roll the tape, the usual stuff. Then out comes Harry. He puts the, around his neck. Harry says a couple of words, and in his words, he says, and Harry's majorly political. Mm-hmm. He's a major activist, always has been his entire life. And he's talking about we need more than just from the churches. We need our Black athletes and our Black actors to step up during this time. Trayvon Martin parents are in the house. He says, so as I look out, and when people are talking like that, you're watching. So you're cutting, but you're watching. You go, okay, boom, Samuel L. Back to Harry. Denzel Washington, back to Harry. Pull down the line shot, double shot. There was Chadwick Boseman and Ron Coogler, back to Harry. And he says, but what I want to know is, and I'm looking, and you will look, and you will see camera signal. You'll say, stay right there. And sometimes you get this lucky shot. He goes, what I want to know is, which one of you black actors are going to step up and help lead the charge? And I took 6 of Jamie Foxx on a single. Boom. And back to Harry. And Jamie receives the last award. And he comes up and he starts crying. He started singing and crying because he was overwhelmed. And you can control that moment a little bit. And I remember because we were on NBC, so Law and Order were following us, and NBC was like, we got to get off the air. And Jamie wouldn't stop. And if you remember, during that time, after a while, he started wearing a lot of Trayvon Martin t-shirts. Mm-hmm. He's got on that reel. Yeah. But it was at that show that I think was a turning point. That you can know that's the dude. You can know that's the guy. You can set it up and you know it's coming. And sometimes you'll hear producers behind you will go, take it. Like, no, not yet. It is like God comes through that truck and goes, take it now. Boom. And that's when you take it. So that show will this is when it's going to happen. It's going to happen right here. And that part's pretty cool.
I think the thing that's amazing is that you have the wherewithal, the feeling to know what's the moment or what's right. how to pay attention for that moment or that feeling. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing that it makes me curious about was, what did finding your voice look like, and how did that shape for you? Because I mean, you think about, as a director, as an artist, as a man, you start to have a voice or a signature to how you do things, or to what your beliefs are and how you carve mm-hmm. that path. And I would love to kind of figure out what that is for you. And
it goes back to the story I told you in regards to ESPN. 1 over the shoulder, Stuart Scott. 3 over the shoulder, Keith Olbermann. And then I would get in the show and not believe what I wrote. Eventually, you'll start to believe what you wrote. You'll start to believe that this is what's going to work best. I often tease myself in saying that I'm a common sense director. That the first rule of thumb when directing multi-camera television is to not get caught watching TV. It is not. I remember my first news show. It was just like, and ready, camera 2, take 2. Guy calls for a roll on the tape, and I'm just, wow, what a good looking 2 shot. I'm watching TV. I say the first rule is not to watch TV, so you can eventually start watching TV. I direct like I'm watching TV. I put shots on the air that I think that I would want to see when I'm watching TV. So it literally just, my voice is, your gut is telling you that I should see Sky on a single. Take it. Take the single. And it will, and then when they start to trust your voice, man, they, as in the executives and the producers, and, I've been very fortunate and very blessed to work with terrific producers. And, you've seen situations where, oh no, Tony's doing the show, we straight, we're good, he's got this. Man, I mentioned that when you turn something over to a crew member and you say, dude, find me some shots, make it how, how I like it. That's an honor. For a director, it's a great honor. And they go, oh, you got it, my man. I'm sure whatever you'll come up with will be smoking. And that's a double-edged sword, because sometimes they'll say you got it because I don't want to come up with anything. Whatever you come up with could suck, but I get to blame you. I don't have to take responsibility for it. But there are people that are out there, and there are people that I've had the pleasure of working with who truly meant it, who truly meant, T, I know you got this. And you can do that. It's weird. It's, I see so much because you're looking at all these cameras, and sometimes what you have, you're like, like sometimes it's funny is, I guess I'm shifting gears now a little bit. Every now and then when I'm directing, and it's this real funny thing that happens, and sometimes I'll be in the chair and I'm directing, and I'll just go, did you ever think that you would be directing Denzel Washington? Did you ever? And it literally will happen while I'm directing. Did you ever think that you'd be doing this New Edition concert? You listen to it, because some of these people I'm directing, I wasn't directing at the time when they were out. I was just a fan. I remember doing New Edition in Vegas for the Soul Train Awards. I'm like, you're on stage with Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, and Johnny. Was it on your list to do shit? Like, no, bro, it wasn't. No, it was not. I remember doing the New Edition concert for Special in Charlotte, North Carolina. And, we had rehearsed, it was all good, and blah, 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 and such and such. And so it's about an hour till showtime. And somebody comes upstairs. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to knock this thing out. And they go, yo, T, Michael Bivins wants to see you downstairs. And I go, all right. So I make my way down, and Bivs, just cool as a fan. Good dude, likes to hoop, sports nut, all good. And I make my way downstairs, and Mike Bivins said, hey, yo, T, I just wanted you to join us for the New Edition prayer. And so in this video, it is Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Tony, and Johnny all holding hands in this. I'm like, yo, really? Like, you're in New Edition right now? Like, at this moment, yes. At this moment, yes, I'm in New Edition. Yes. What? So you have these moments sometimes that, you just go, oh, what? Like, what? Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? So those are the moments that, you just really, you can't believe. And then, you have some moments that are, you really can't believe. I remember doing a celebration of gospel, and I do it in terms of the rehearsal. We have the rehearsals, and the rehearsals are so long because it's like freaking 16 to 18 acts on a freaking 2-hour show, which is impossible. But we knock them all out. But on my rundown, all it says is Madam X. And that's all I got. And I'm like, I have not received a song from Madam X. Because normally you get the songs on a download and then you break them down, the usual stuff. I haven't received a song from Madam X. Don't know who Madam X is. What's going on? And we do all the songs, and finally run down where Madam X is going to do her song. And the producer makes an announcement. I need everybody out of the theater. We're at the Orpheum. I need everybody out of the theater. Everybody out right now, with the exception of camera crew and essential workers. Everybody's out of the theater. Got it. Everybody's out of the theater. Black van pulls up. Madam X gets out, comes to the back of the theater, and Madam X walks out, and it's Whitney Houston.
Oh shit.
And I go, oh shit. She's back. She's back. And when you first see her on camera, I didn't even go in the theater because I'm in the truck. I'm ready to go. And it's Whitney Houston. And I'm just like, what? what? And you'll know it. It is the Whitney Houston duet with Kim Burrell.
No.
So that was me.
Wow.
So it's the Whitney Houston duet with Kim Burrell. And Kim Burrell wasn't there, so I blocked it with Whitney and a backup singer. And she's doing her thing. We did. I'm gonna fly the wall. She's gonna walk out, red light, shining, the whole shebang. Got it all. It's gonna be banging. All good. Cut around, reactions, blah blah blah. So I'm gonna do the whole thing. So it's time for the show. Kim Burrell comes out first. She makes an entrance. No, she's preset. She's preset. Kim Burrell does her version of the song. And this is the part that was so weird to me, because I've seen how, classic footage, though I'm not a Beatles fan, of how people react to the Beatles, they're screaming and the girls and the falling out and the whole thing. And so Whitney's behind a wall. And what I did was I let her sing a couple of notes before I flew the wall. And I didn't show it because I didn't know how to show it. And here's what I'm referring to. When they were screaming, "Oh my God, it's Whitney," no one had seen her. So they knew by her voice that it was her. And when I flew the wall, Otis had these shimmering lights that came out, so she legitimately looked like an angel. And as a director, I had to move, steady pulled her out, and then came across and then pushing on the single on one, and it was the whole shebang. And I'm looking, I can see all my monitors down below, and they were acting like they were looking at a spirit. And I froze as a director. I was stunned by Whitney, and I was also stunned by the fact that they couldn't breathe. And I wasn't sure if that was a reaction shot or not. They just couldn't believe what they were seeing. So if you look at that Whitney Houston, Kim Burrell performance, there were very few reaction shots. And gospel lives on reaction shots. They prompt the audience to cry or to rejoice. They're very little. Whitney was the most important thing I've ever seen in my life. And I simply could not cut away. And I said, and we were ISO recording all of the cameras. And I said, you stick in the ISO shots where you want, but I'm not taking it. You can put them in post, but in this line cut, I'm not taking it. It's going to be very few. She was just captivating and on point. And I knew when you direct, and it's a little weird, you also think about things that are going to make your career. So there are certain shows you do, you're like, yo, if I knock this out the park, it's on for me. We all do it. And I knew, either Whitney was going to, be on fire, or I was going to be the dude that directed where she wasn't so on fire. Whitney nailed it. She killed it. And then 2 weeks later, she died. So I was the last guy to direct Whitney Houston. And that part feels a little weird to me. That feels just a little weird that I was the last dude to direct her television performance. And then, even stranger than that is, the next year for Celebration of Gospel, I'm shooting her tribute, and we're saying goodbye. But that, those things you think about, but to have that opportunity and to see the effect, because I would, when Michael Jackson was hot, and people was like, oh my God, he's like sent from heaven. People felt that way about Michael Jackson, that he was just sent from heaven. And you're like, I missed with that bullshit. I don't know what you're talking about, but I think he's dope and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, whatever. No. Sometimes they are sent from heaven. Don't know. I saw it with my own eyes.
Was Was Whitney the only time you've been starstruck while you were directing? Or have there ever been other moments like that? Because I mean, that's
Yeah,
such an iconic. I mean, you know,
right,
it's amazing doing like live to air, live to tape to you because we are capturing these moments that will never happen again.
right.
So I'm curious. I mean, like, because you've worked with so many amazing people, and I mean, like that Whitney story, I couldn't even imagine that.
Right, right.
That's straight out of a
Yeah,
fairy
yeah, that's yeah, and it's so funny as I'm telling you the story. I can still see the cameras that I'm looking at. I can still see their faces as their mouths dropped, and they openly and audibly gasped. They became short of breath. Just I I never have, and have yet to see anything like it ever. Yeah, it was a trip. Um, like I said, every now and then I have my moments when, though I've seen him, it was still neat when Denzel won the Image Awards and he was giving a speech that went viral about working hard and doing this and doing that. In fact, it made my demo reel. I put it on the front to set the tone for, you know, everything that you're about to see afterwards. So I got a little starstruck with with Denzel a little bit. Um, Patti LaBelle, and I've worked. Sometimes you'll see them so much that after a while, it's just you just see them, and I got it. I'm trying to think of who other than you know, see, Patty. I've had.
I saw
Oh
that
my God!
you directed James Brown. You worked with James Brown. What was that like?
No, I wish.
You
I
wish?
wish. I wish. Never. There's a few that I definitely wish I had.
Mm.
Without a doubt, probably tops on my list is going to be Prince.
Mm.
And I just wish I would have had a shot. I just wish that was the one I wish I would have
You
directed.
would have killed
I
that
wish I
too. I
would
know
have.
you would have.
Yeah, I would. That's the one I wished I would have directed. I've had, everybody in gospel. There's not one gospel person that I've not, from Kirk Franklin to just Clark sisters. I mean, every single gospel person you can name, I've directed. There's not one not on my list. You couldn't
Who,
damn near abstract gospel people I directed.
who's somebody that blew the
Yeah.
hinges off the place that you just didn't expect to? Because there's
Hmm.
some performances are going to be like, this is going to be a hit. And then there are some where you're like, I didn't even see that being or going
Well,
as amazing.
well, the first time, and when I watch a talent, an artist rehearse, I uh, I watch it in the house. So they'll do a little bit, and I'll have camera put eyes on it. But sometimes I'll watch it in the house. And the reason I watch it in the house is because I want to watch the artist move organically on stage. They start to pick up their mannerisms and what they like to do a little bit. And I remember it was a few years after her went on American Idol when Fantasia you know came out on stage, and she was um talking to Ray Chu, I believe is who it was, music director, and she was like, "Okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that," and then she says, "In this part right here," she says, "I'm just gonna cut it up a little bit." And as a director, I went, "Uh-oh, she's about to set some shit on fire." And sure enough, she did. Took off her shoes. Remember the video? You ever see the video? She's taking off her shoes. And she has to
Yeah.
be carried out. That was it.
Hmm.
It was Dr. Bobby Jones' gospel. The mom came out and she's crying. It was that. It was that. I was like, oh my God, just set it on fire. Just set it on fire. And so, that's when, you know, I I was just like, from now on, you're gonna watch how they move on stage. Because she took off the shoes. And with gospel, you can block it. I got it. But it's gonna get you eventually. It's gonna punch you right in the face. And what makes, like, hip hop in a nutshell moves north and south. So I can pretty much find the chorus and survive hip hop. 16 bars, yakety yak, yakety yak, then throw your hands up, throw your hands up. Got it. Back to the bars, throw your hands up, throw your hands up. Find you somebody in the audience who knows the lyrics, so you know you got a couple of cutaways, so they can sing at the chorus, and you're straight. Got it. Gospel works differently. Where hip hop shoots north and south, gospel shoots 360. The person singing the song is important. The person who just lost their job and came here to get saved is the second star. That's the other person you need to find. And at a certain point, that person in the audience will reveal themselves. But until then, you've got to search live for that person while still directing the artist that's on the main stage. And that's where it gets a little tough, because you've got to tell a story. And it's strange because you get a set of killer camera operators who you've been with a long time, and it gets a little weird, a little sadistic, because it will go, I got tears on 6. I got tears on 8. You've heard it 1,000 times before. You've heard Stan say that. I got tears on 6. And in my world, not kidding, I am like, please, tear don't drop yet. I've got a guitar solo and a blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to get to that tear. You know, because you know there is a point in that song where that tear is going to be money. And you're like, don't wipe your eyes. Don't wipe your eyes.
Yeah.
And man, you get those moments where that tear is coming down that cheek as you dissolve, and we can go home now. You know, that's the win. You know, that's the win. So you definitely, you know, you're looking for those moments, and you're looking to tell that story, and you're hoping that your camera person has the eye to find that person who came to get saved. And then you, as a director, have to hope you find the person who is pretending to get saved. And you'll spot that sometimes and go, nope, not her. Not her.
She came for the camera time.
She came for the camera time. Not her. You'll get one reaction, boom, go back. And camera guys do round robins. They go seat A, 6, 9, 10, B, 6, and they'll just kind of do a round robin of who their money shots are in terms of reaction. And then after a while, you just go, not that one. In 3 songs, same reaction. She's faking. And you'll learn to spot that as well. You want that, you know, that moment to come through stage, you know, and you have to have a certain crew when it comes to gospel that's a little different, because that hip hop song, if it says 2:30, it's freaking 2:30. A gospel song, if it says 5 minutes, it could easily be 7. We didn't rehearse this. I don't know what you're talking about. It's turned Pentecostal now, and everybody's clapping and running down the aisle. That's what's going on right now. Quick rules of thumbs. Give me the tilt. Show me the feet. I got to see them doing the stepping. And then you tilt your way up. You know, so my guys know these are the money things that has to happen. A dude's running down the aisle. You know, jib, overhead shot, catch him running, bring him back to you. Boom. So you just know, you know, and it is just random cutting, but no one gives up their shots. And if you got a killer squad and a killer AD like Miriam Legier, who's just like, oh my God, so-and-so's crying. So-and-so's crying. And you just, boom. And she'll say so-and-so's crying, and she'll keep reminding me that they're crying. I won't take the shot, because I know there's a pattern. It's going to be this to this to this to tears, this to this to this to tears. And so you just constantly watch and listen and go, and you know your moments. And, you know, that part I think is fun. And I think if you have the right crew, it's a lot of fun. If you look at those behind the scenes for, you know, Sunday Best, and they start getting the Pentecostal stuff that don't make air, camera's still moving. Otis Howard still plays along. He's moving lights. He's doing this. He's doing, like, wow, Otis, this is over with. Not for Otis, it ain't. Otis Howard is still freaking lighting it up. Yeah, so we've got a nice little nucleus of dudes who really understand how this is done. R&B plays a little different. It's kind of a combination of both. At the end of the day, like when I did Jill Scott, I did oh my gosh, Faith Evans for the Trumpet Awards last
Faith
year.
is one of those
And
voices that will surprise you too. I remember she did
yeah, she's
something
stronger than you
she,
know.
she came in
Yeah,
flat-footed with nobody, no mics, nothing,
yeah,
and blew us out of the
yeah,
room. I was so impressed with that.
yeah. And so yeah, with R&B, what you really have to find is